We will be starting. We'll be starting in a few seconds.
Hi, I'm Julie from the technical team. Just to let you know that I have your presentation and I will share them for you. And I've just started the recording, as you could hear.
Thank you. All right. So again, good morning from Brussels and welcome to this session of the live info day dedicated to the clean energy transition sub-program and especially for this breakout session to the priority topic supporting the decarbonization of heating and cooling. My name is Luca Angelino. I'm a project advisor with the Life Energy and Climate unit, and I will be moderating this session. I have the pleasure of having with me two colleagues of mine, Piotr Wais and Stamatis Sivitos. Good morning. And
morning.
And we will present two topics open within this priority topic. Heating still represents the largest end-use sector, accounting for nearly 50% of the energy demand in Europe, a large share of which is covered by natural gas and other fossil fuels. So no wonder this sector plays a crucial role addressing the multiple challenges we are facing, including the climate crisis, the high energy prices, and the current geopolitical crisis. We will have two topics open with this call, one dedicated to the integration of low-grade renewable energy or waste heat in high-temperature district heating, and the second dedicated to accelerating the deployment and affordability of heat pumps through collective purchase and procurement actions. That being said, these two topics are fall under the category of other grants, coordination and support actions. And just a few words of housekeeping. This session, as you have heard, will be recorded. It will be available online after the event. We will have two presentations, after which we will open the floor for you, for your questions. You have two options. Either you can turn on your camera and show your face and ask the question, or you can just write your questions on the dedicated chat. We also have, in case you have questions after this session, a dedicated email address, which we will be sharing at the end of the session, where you can ask any non-IT related questions concerning this priority topic, as well as others. Without further ado, I will give the floor to my colleague, Piotr Wais. Piotr, the floor is yours.
Hello. Thank you, Luca, for the introduction. Can I have also my slides? Okay, I can see right now. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Piotr Wais. I am a project manager from CINEA, Unit D1, Life Energy. And this morning, I'm going to talk about Life Clean Energy transition topic, integration of low-grade renewable energy or waste heat in high-temperature district heating, what was also mentioned by Luca. And the aim of my presentation is to explain the main points of the topic and give you some additional remarks that you can also use while preparing the project or proposal preparation. I think that my comments and additional notes will be useful and informative for all of you. I divided my presentation in a few parts. Firstly, I would like to mention the policy context. This is about mostly one slide. Then I'm going to deal with the topic itself, focusing on the most important elements of the description of the topic. After that, I will explain better maybe some points that for me were a bit tricky, and I will give more accurate information during this presentation. And finally, there will be also a time for questions from your side. Please take notes, and then at the end of the presentation, you can also raise your hand or ask by chat. Okay, let's start with the first point. I'm going to say a few words about the policy objectives for the period from now to 2030. And based on analysis provided by the Climate Target Plan, greenhouse gas emission can be reduced by 55%. However, it requires more efficient work, more effort and contribution from different sectors. One of the options is to apply more renewable energy or work on energy savings. And it also generates opportunities for the whole heating and cooling sector. Still, very often, fossil fuels are the main source of energy in district heating and cooling system, especially in the old one, district heating with a higher temperature. And so existing systems, networks should be modernized. Their fuel mix should be changed to become more efficient also. Please, next slide. So I'm moving to the topic itself. Answering these challenges, it is necessary to support the further application of efficient and renewable technologies in district heating. And this is particularly demanding for existing district heating systems operating at high temperatures. And this will be repeated several times during my presentation, that you should focus on existing heating systems working at high temperatures, and especially taking into consideration the limited human and technical capacities of the owners, for instance, and operators of the systems. Therefore, technical support is required to develop investment plans to integrate low-grade heat sources. This is also important here, this phrase, low-grade heat sources, into the existing network, and where necessary also, potentially adapt infrastructure on demand sides. It's up to you to demonstrate and to apply all work proportionally to your plans. Next slide, please. Thank you. Then the scope of the topic is to work with operators or owners of high temperature district heating systems and provide them with the required technical support for the preparation of investment plans to fulfill the proposed criteria for efficient district heating and cooling, as it is defined in the revised Energy Efficiency Directive. I will say also a bit more at the end of my presentation what it means, efficient district heating and cooling, how it's defined. Where to find this information? You have just here this information in the Energy Efficiency Directive, but nevertheless, I will also put some information later on. You have also some examples of these activities, because very often someone asks what it should be done. Then, for instance, these activities may include, among others, it's up to you also to add other elements, modify this description here. It is not obligatory to focus on all these activities listed here. Identification of renewable energy and waste heat sources, detailed identification of the investments, contracting with the owners, pre-feasibility studies, financial engineering, building the capacity to implement the investment plans, other activities. It's up to you to demonstrate within the proposal description also the aim of your activity and how you would like to reach the final scope of the aim of the topic. It means introduction of the low-grade energy sources into existing high-temperature district heating. And investment plans should allow the targeted district heating systems to fulfill the criteria for efficient district heating and cooling within a time up to 10 years after the end of the project. And next slide, please. So focusing on the further details, you have here all of them listed at the slide. The focus should be on a low-grade renewable energy or waste heat, as I mentioned also before. It's repeated several times exactly, that you can have also the feeling how important it is. Activities should support high temperature district heating operators or owners in at least 3 eligible countries. Proposals should clearly identify the targeted countries, possibly also regions, and explain how they intend to cover the variety of the situation in each targeted area. You have different countries, different areas. The conditions are also different. This is why we ask you to select at least 3 eligible countries and work on their area. It's not even enough, because proposals should also explain how they will select the district heating systems. Then it's not only your task to mention these countries and the regions, but also define district heating systems and operators in which cities, and exactly what kind of the support you propose to them. The context of the support should be also provided, and how the consortium will deliver this support on the ground. Then it's exactly, we are asking you to prepare the whole description of your action on the ground. And the supported district heating systems should be located in a territory covered by Sustainable Energy and Climate Action Plan or similar. And also here, I will explain a bit later at the end of my presentation what it means, especially or similar, what kind of the plan we ask for. Can I ask for next slide? Yeah, the proposed actions also are expected to support the engagement and commitment of key stakeholders in order to ensure that the investment plans are implemented, build the capacity on the targeted district heating operators or owners to implement the investment plans. And you have also examples what is necessary to do. Identify regulatory barriers and promote solutions for further application of the proposed solutions and the replication of the project. For instance, new regulations, tariffs, funding programs, in order to facilitate the integration of low-grade renewable energy or waste heat in high temperature district heating at national and European level. Promote, as I mentioned, replication by other district heating operators or owners. Provide also cost benefits analysis of the proposed solution. Next slide, please. Yes, now let's turn our attention to impacts that are linked to the topic objectives. And the impacts are presented below. You find them also in the topic description. And for instance, we are talking about district heating systems, then the number of district heating systems equipped with an investment plan allowing them to fulfill the proposed criteria for efficient district heating and cooling, number of market stakeholders with increased capacity to implement the investment plans, number of local and regional authorities that integrate the outcomes of the project. And all these 3 points are directly linked to the topic description. A part of that, you have also more general data, investment in sustainable energy triggered by the project, primary energy saving triggered by the project, renewable energy in generation triggered by the project, and amount of energy triggered from low-grade heat sources by the project. And the impacts of the proposal should be demonstrated during the project and within 5 years after the project lifetime. And the impact should be also precise, justified, well-defined, described with the proper assumptions. Proposals should support savings, declared savings in the proposal in the description with credible data and calculation methods to help also experts later on during the evaluation to understand your approach and result at the end. Next slide, please. Okay, let's move to the second part of my talk. As I said at the beginning, I would like to provide more clarification, further explanation to better also understand some parts of the topic description. And the first issue is related to the sentence taken from the topic description directly. The supported direct heating systems should be located in a territory covered by Sustainable Energy and Climate Action Plan or similar. And what that similar means here. And you have some explanation, additional explanation here. Any urban, local, or regional climate and energy actions or strategies that involve authorities and stakeholders in the development and implementation of sustainable energy and climate policies. Why there's a requirement here? Because if plans exist, then the plans can contribute to smooth project implementation, facilitate cooperation with authorities, receive support from local administration or local energy units, city units, for instance, have a clear vision of the proposed priorities for actions. It will be better for the project exactly to communicate with the stakeholders that are just involved in this kind of activity. Further slide, please, next slide. Thank you. Does the proposer have to address all different activities listed in the topic description? For instance, someone can raise this question. And the answer is, it will be up to proposers to demonstrate how the suggested activities will contribute to the topic challenges and expected impacts. And of course, a proposal should appropriately address the topic objectives. Then if you look at the topic description and you think that this activity listed here is maybe not directly linked to the main topic objectives, then describe this in the proposal. For instance, according to us, this activity is not linked and we suggest not to follow this because of the budget restriction and so on. We would like focus on other activities. Justify your approach, of course, and during the evaluation, experts assess the proposal, taking into consideration the project objectives, scopes, and impacts. And of course, they judge the proposal based on your description. Then it's up to you to demonstrate that without, for instance, some kind of the activities, the result will be the same. Next slide, please. Next question can also appear. Should investment plans be implemented before the end of the project? Then investments are not expected to be implemented during the project because, for instance, the duration of the project can be 2, 3, maybe 4 years, up to you also to define. It's not written in the project description how long it should take, the life of the project. However, district heating owners, operators can start to implement the investment plans. And for instance, through procuring the necessary engineering studies and works, asking the banks for loans. And to conclude, consortia should prepare investment plans before the end of the project, and this is necessary, and ensure that the plans are ready to be implemented during the project lifetime, if it's possible, if not, after the end of the project. Next slide, please. Yes, and I also mentioned about this definition of efficient district heating and cooling. The whole description you can find in a revised Energy Efficiency Directive. And here I put the information about the criteria that should be met are presented below. As you can see, there are different definitions for different periods of time. And I would like to draw your attention that up to 2035, a system can use renewable energy, waste heat, and also cogenerated heat with different share, of course. And the system can be efficient. But from 2035, only renewable energy, waste heat is taken into consideration. Just cogenerated heat is cancelled, of course, with a different share of renewable energy and waste heat. You can also analyze this information, and the investment plans should be allowed to targeted district heating system to fulfill this criteria within a timeline of 10 years that I also presented earlier. The next slide. Yes, I would like to terminate with additional information about the topic. The whole topic description is available on the funding and tender portals. Funding rate is 95%. Budget foreseen for the topic by the Commission, it means contribution from the EU is up to 1.5 million. However, the proposal can also request other amounts, will be evaluated, assessed during our work, selection work here in EASME. Next slide. Where to find this information? In funding and tenders portals, you can click on homepage, for instance, it's shown here, and search live button in this blue area here below. You have different programs. Then if you find live, please open it and look for the topic title, for instance, putting even some words and search, and you can find also all documents and other useful information. Above, you have different possibility to search. The next slide. For instance, you can find guidelines, templates, forms, work package description, not sorry, work package, but the whole description of the all topics together in one document, legislations, everything here. Next slide. Yes, live is already 30 this year, and you are welcome also to organize an informal event or different activities with your local community. Please look our website for detailed information, how to proceed, where to ask this question, how to contact my colleagues, and for sure you will also receive additional information. And I think this is the end of my presentation. Yes, I think I covered all points that I planned at the beginning. Thank you for your attention. And now, if you have any questions, I think it's time to ask them. Yes, Luca, or at the end of the second presentation?
No. We will take questions concerning your first presentation. And thank you very much, Piotr, for this comprehensive presentation before going to the next one. So we have received so far two questions. One is rather general and is a comment first, a remark. There has been a lot of talks around heating and cooling. However, there is more attention to the former and lesser to the latter, whether cooling was somehow relevant. And in that regard, I would like to just say that there was one topic open under the Clean Energy Transition Program last year, dedicated to cooling in order to better understand that sector. And we hope to have some projects coming online during the fall. And the second part of the remark and question, whether projects involving the decarbonization of refrigerant gases for industrial use would be relevant for either topic. So in that regard, let me say that really you have to refer to the scope and to the expected impacts of those topics. So please refer to those. Within the framework of the Clean Energy Transition sub-program, we are being more descriptive in order for proposals to really contribute to specific objectives within the framework of the energy policy in Europe. However, I would rather invite you to check other sub-programs within LIFE, and in particular the climate mitigation and adaptation sub-program, where there is in a way less prescription, where there is a possibility to see whether your proposals or your project can rather fit that. And also you can check the other two sub-programs. But as a first reaction, I really invite you to check the climate mitigation and adaptation sub-program within LIFE. Then we have a second question, which is more related to your presentation, Piotr, and that concerns the source for waste heat in 2050, whether this is defined already or would that still technically allow for 40% of heat fully resulting from fossil fuels. You may respond to this question, please.
Yes, if I can also add maybe some information about the topic, because I understand this as if it's the source for the waste heat in 2050 is defined. Then please look at this information that are written in EED, how also efficient district heating and cooling is defined. And as I also mentioned, the topic purpose is to propose activity to reach this definition of efficient district and heating systems that are defined in EED. Then, for instance, if I was talking that the target should be reached within a timeline of 10 years, now there is 2022, the project will finish maybe in 3 years, 25, then we are around 35, 36. This is your objective here. And I need to, search exactly the information, how this efficient district heating more or less is defined in this area. But we are not talking about 2050. Right now, your target is to focus on, the end of the project, and then plus 10 years to reach this, to propose activity that can reach these efficient district heating and cooling systems up to 10 years after the end of the project. I am not sure if I'm clear.
Thank you so much, Piotr. In any case, one of the main messages is please check also the evolving, say, legal definitions within the framework of the EED. Let me say that in case for those of you who are watching the recording, if you have any questions which is not of IT nature, please feel free to send us questions to our functional mailbox, which I'm posting right now, so everybody can see and take note of. It's a CINEA-life-cet@ec.europa.eu. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email us in due time.
Luca, if I can also add one comment, maybe because right now I open also chat and I can see this question. Or would that still technically allow for 40% waste heat fully resulting from fossil fuels? But here we are not talking about the fossil fuels. We are talking about renewable energy and waste heat.
Yeah.
If someone asks this question, then I need to underline this, that the topic is dedicated for renewable energy sources and waste heat, not for waste heat from fossil fuels.
Absolutely. I'm referring to the source of the waste heat. Yes, I think I think it's clear, and if any other clarifications, we can do it via email. Following those questions, we are going to publish dedicated frequently asked questions, which will be available for everyone on the portal. So I see no other hands raised. So if there are no questions at this stage concerning our first topic, I would thank Piotr for his excellent contribution and give the floor to my colleague Stamatis for our second topic on heat pumps. Stamatis, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Luca. While we're pulling up the presentation, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to be introducing the topic accelerating the deployment and affordability of heat pumps through collective purchase actions and procurement under the LIFE Clean Energy Transition Call 2022, which I have elaborated with my colleague Luca Angelino, our moderator today. My name is Stamatis Sivitos. I'm a project advisor at the LIFE Energy and LIFE Climate Unit at CINEA. And without any further ado, I will take you through the policy context briefly and then take you through the topic. So if we can move on to the next slide, please. A brief overview of the policy context. As you are probably aware, as part of the European Green Deal, the renovation wave strategy published in October 2020 sets the objective of refurbishing 35 million building units by 2030. As you can see depicted in the slide here on the left, within the circle, a key pillar is the decarbonization of heating and cooling. Following on from this, with the Fit for 55 package, the Commission brought forward proposals for more ambitious measures to mainstream renewable energy in heating and cooling, as well as in buildings, in the context of the revision of the Renewable Energy Directive, which is ongoing, and you can see the concerned articles in the slide. And more recently, with the Repower EU communication, the Commission has called for doubling the EU's yearly pace of deployment of heat pumps and reaching 10 million heat pumps installed in the next 5 years across EU member states. If we can move into the next slide, and keeping this policy framework in mind, as well as given that in the residential sector, the share of electricity in heating demand is expected to grow, and heat pumps are one of the key technologies to meet this demand. So although these technologies and the quality of installation have been improving over the years, the upscaling of existing and the development of new supply chains are not rapid enough to prevent bottlenecks and ensure competitive pricing throughout the supply chain. Therefore, the objective of this topic is to set up and/or support collective purchase and procurement actions aiming at reducing significantly, and I underline that significantly, the product and/or installation prices by creating large-scale demand for well-specified ranges of heat pump products. So if we look more closely at the scope in the next slide, please, the actions, proposed actions. If we could have the next slide, please. Thank you. The proposed actions should focus at least on space and water heating for households. Having said that, this does not preclude targeting non-residential buildings in addition. Moreover, synergies of heat pumps with photovoltaic systems and hybrid renewable heating and cooling systems could be promoted. So in the next slide, let's take a look at what proposed actions should cover. So they need to tackle all the following points I'll be mentioning now. Firstly, coordinate calls for interest on heat pump purchase and installation of heat pumps, and undertake negotiations with related economic operators. For example, manufacturers, installer associations, energy companies, including on financing elements. Aspects such as operation-related aspects, for example, longer guarantee periods and post-purchase maintenance, or other customer services for products bought under these schemes, could be included in concluded agreements. In addition, solutions including full or partial financing of upfront investment could also be considered. Secondly, proposals should ensure simplification of the offer demand, for example, by basing such schemes on a limited number of products and capacities, satisfying certain essential criteria to increase volumes of specific production series and deliver quality installations, as well as ensure prior to any purchase, firstly, building suitability and readiness, such as thermal insulation, heat distribution system for the heat pump installation. And in addition to that, proper evaluation of building heating needs and heat pump size. And talking about evaluation, various methods can be used, possibly in combination, such as short-term temperature measurements, building and energy system simulation tools, or assessment by qualified technician. So it's particularly important that these last 2 points here, A and B, need to be addressed prior to any purchase. So moving to the next slide, some additional points that proposals should cover: support the preparation, for example, organizational or technical, and execution of such projects. Moreover, they need to identify, simplify access to, and seek synergies with relevant national, regional, or local financing opportunities, for example, loans, subsidies, or tax incentives. Proposals should also undertake other initiatives along the value chain that would lead to lowering the installation price. Examples, as you can see here, include ensuring quality installation procedures, providing training on offered products, and promotion of related certification schemes, further developing innovative proposition services such as heating as a service. And the last point on this slide here, proposals should also cover and address engaging in promotional and awareness-raising activities, including on related installation training schemes, targeting specific consumer groups and other relevant stakeholders, for example, small and medium enterprises, young people, and so on. So these 5 points that I have aforementioned in the last 2 slides, proposals should address and need to include in their proposals. So let's take a look at the consortium and some related aspects in the next slide, please. Proposals should involve relevant stakeholders necessary, including public and/or private entities, such as public authorities, consumer organizations, private companies, housing associations, and so on. If they are not directly involved in the consortium, their support should be demonstrated in the proposal. And this is something that should be also kept in mind. If they're not directly in the proposal, they need to demonstrate their support to the proposal. In addition, the purchased heat pumps should be installed by installers with relevant training and certification in order to ensure the relevant quality of installations that I've been referring to. Moreover, organizations should demonstrate independence from commercial technology providers and justify their capacity to select best value for money. And last but not least, especially for public procurement actors, green circular public procurement criteria should be taken into account. So all these aspects here need to be demonstrated in the proposals. Moving on to the slide with impacts. So the proposals, the overall expected result is A, increased deployment of heat pumps through collective purchase and procurement actions. And secondly, demonstrating the effectiveness and replicability of the proposed actions for accelerating the deployment and affordability of heat pumps in order to reach the targets that I have aforementioned. In the slide here, you can also see the specific KPIs, starting with number of installations triggered by the action, including a performance guarantee for the end users. So these are installations that actually have or will be taking place. Number of collective purchase and on procurement actions set up and or supported by the action. Third point, number of actors with increased skills, such as public authorities, installers, consumers, and so on. And then the last 3 bullet points, some more generic KPIs for the clean energy transition sub-program included in every topic, primary energy savings triggered by the project, renewable energy generation triggered by the project, as well as investments in sustainable energy renovation triggered by the project. So these are the expected impacts which proposals should address. As Piotr has mentioned in the earlier presentation, we're of course interested to see the assumptions and clear methodologies on how these key performance indicators have been calculated, leading to the specific savings, energy, renewable energy generation triggered, and so on. Last slide on some examples of past work streams, which proposers may wish to build on specific elements of these. So you can see here Horizon 2020 projects which have been submitted under different topics. So these should not be taken as a blueprint for this topic to submit proposals. However, specific practices, best practices identified in all 3 projects could be built upon by proposals submitted under this topic. And you can see here the Clear 2 project, focusing on group purchase of heat pumps targeting consumers, HP for All, focusing on the improvement of capacity and skills within the heat pumps industry, and the SPP Regions project, promoting collaboration at both European and regional level on sustainable and innovative procurement. And you have the respective websites to refer to these. So this brings me to my last slide. Basically, thank you for your attention. I'm happy to take any questions, and we of course look forward to receiving your proposals. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Stamatis, for this comprehensive presentation. Are there any questions from the audience? I see no question on the chat. I see no hand raised. Maybe we can take this little time we have available just for some clarification, Stamatis, if you agree. For example, the reference to the specific segment of the building stock, residential and non-residential. Maybe we can clarify that scope.
Yeah, absolutely. So the focus of the action is on the residential buildings, as stated in the topic text. so households and other residential buildings. However, this does not preclude the non-residential part of the building stock in addition, which means that if the non-residential buildings are included, there has to be a good part on residential buildings as well. So non-residential buildings in addition to addressing residential buildings, households.
Excellent. Maybe we can also take some time for further clarification. The text refers to the possibility to exploit the synergies with self-consumption installations, photovoltaics, as well as hybrid renewable heating and cooling systems. Maybe we can clarify at this point, especially what we mean by renewable heating and cooling systems here.
Indeed, very pertinent, Luca. And just to mention that as has been aforementioned, we'll be likely preparing and publishing frequent asked questions on this topic as well. So that's something to watch for. But in principle, what is meant by hybrid renewable heating and cooling system, any heat pump used for space hot water production combined with other renewable heating systems, for example, biomass boilers or a solar thermal collector, and so on.
Excellent. Thank you so much for this clarification. Again, I see no questions on the chat, but I take again the opportunity to mention that for those watching the recording, there is a possibility for you to email us for clarifications using our functional mailbox, CINEA-CET@ec.europa.eu, and then those questions will be used and the responses will be published on the portal under the FAQ section. That being said, I'll stop there, and I would like to thank very much indeed our speakers today, Piotr and Stamatis. Thank you very much indeed, and we can give our participants a few minutes for a break, and then you can join the following breakout session starting at 12 CE, so basically Brussels time. Thank you very much indeed, and we wish you the best of luck with your proposals. Thank you, and have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Goodbye now.
All the best.